On this week's episode, The Last of Us is officially streaming on HBO Max. A first look at that. Tatiana Maslany's TV show filming in Massachusetts getting the axe, and the most satisfying fates of movie villains. For The Hub on Hollywood, I'm James.
I'm Jamie. Tatiana, come back! All right, let's talk.
All right, Jamie, we are continuing the new year with awesome episodes, jam-packed episodes, talking about the latest shows that are appearing on HBO Max, but also shows that we will not be seeing anytime soon, at least according in regards to Invitation to a Bonfire.
Yes, it is so sad. I'm so sad. So, Invitation to a Bonfire, a psychological thriller that has been filming in the New England region, which, by the way, it is beautiful right now. There's just a winter wonderland outside the window. It's beautiful snowflakes falling ever so gently. We have so many great locations, especially for period pieces because of all the history we have in New England. And that's why they were filming this here, set in a 1930s girls' school. Psychological thrillers starring Tatiana Maslany, a bunch of other very talented artists. Getting the axe from AMC, a part of big cost-cutting measures that AMC has undertaken. I mean, there's a contraction in almost every industry, but this seems to be happening a lot right now in the film industry. So that production that had already filmed maybe 3 or 4 episodes and had taken a break for the holidays, now on indefinite hiatus. So that's a big blow.
Yeah, this feels very abrupt, just because I think they had, 2 more episodes to film in the first season. And so normally, I mean, the cast and crew, the actors, didn't have the satisfaction to see it off.
No,
they didn't even get that chance of satisfaction.
Exactly. So a lot of people have put in a lot of work on what I think was going to be a pretty spectacular project. And, you know, that's a big blow to not be able to see the fruits of your labor. You know what I mean? However, there might be some glimmer of hope. My understanding is they're trying to shop this now to other people like Netflix, see if someone else might be able to pick it up and get back into production. But, you know, that creates the challenge of, are we still going to have all of the actors available? And this was a big blow to a lot of local actors.
Right.
We had casting agent extraordinaire Billy Dowd on our program not too long ago talking about this project and how he had cast 30 girls, 30 local young actresses to play the schoolgirls, regular schoolgirls in this production, and lots of other local talent on screen and behind the scenes that, you know, were making a good living off of this. And so that's a big blow economically and for those young people's careers. So really hoping that they're able to turn that around. This story, Invitation to a Bonfire, based on the book of the same title, salacious, intriguing. I was really looking forward to seeing it on the screen. But apparently, James, this is a part of an even bigger trend that we're seeing in entertainment.
Yeah, and at this time, like many other streaming services, and as you mentioned, cutting back on their cost, as you know, we see Netflix and other shows dumping and pumping out more and more productions and projects. Some have to kind of rein that back in, and AMC Networks, they're looking for up to $400 million in write-downs for its programming, and so they're focusing on what they call their core shows, which include Interview with a Vampire, Mayfair Witches, The Walking Dead universe. But yeah, right now we're seeing a lot of cutting back in many departments. In AMC, this is the latest.
Listen,
you hate to see it, especially because it's a local project.
Honestly, if they need to cut back on anything, I think we've had more than enough of The Walking Dead, okay?
Yes.
Like that show and that universe and that story, it's going nowhere. It's going nowhere. Yeah. I think that is so played out. And if they really want to save some money, maybe move on to something that is new and fresh and intriguing and that can start something new. But, you know, that's always a risk. I guess.
Yeah,
I guess.
and get this too. The Last of Us, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit, is like a new, fresh take on the zombie genre. And so, based off a video game starring Pedro Pascal, yeah, AMC should let their Walking Dead universe die, remain dead, let it rot. Just get rid of it. Focus on other things, because even Walking Dead fans, they've been very outspoken and sharing their dissatisfaction with the series and the universe has been going. So let HBO Max pick up that bloody baton for them.
Oh my God. But someone else, another production that was canceled for a while that other people were sad about and is now speaking out about this, about all these projects that are going under, is Daredevil showrunner Stephen DeKnight. He's actually calling for major financial penalties against studios who cancel these projects that are already in post-production or most of the way done, because these major projects that are getting the axe, that some of which are already completely done, have been filmed. They've done a whole season. They filmed a whole movie. It's in post-production, and then suddenly it never sees the light of day. And they're doing that to save money, but that hurts so many people. That puts so much work, years of their lives into these projects, and they don't get to see or reap the rewards of that labor. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Think about the big movie studios. They won't be able to write off the losses. Think about them, Jamie. You sound very selfish.
Oh, do I?
No, you don't. And so, yeah, that's the thing. It does come down to the pennies and dollars. But yeah, unfortunate to see that Invitation to a Bonfire, like many other projects, getting the heave-ho, getting the big hook and pulled off stage, unfortunately. But Tatiana Maslany, she still has She-Hulk, and I'm pretty sure that other studios and other projects are calling her name right now. Not so great for the local talent, but hopefully we have more stuff coming out to hire local talent and showcase the best of New England.
That's right.
And speaking about...
I'm pro penalties.
Yeah. But speaking of the best of New England and the best of Boston, one big movie that came out recently starring Ryan Reynolds, Free Guy, was the talk of the town for a long time because they were shooting all over Boston area and in the Seaport District as well. And I thought the movie was pretty good. It was pretty fun. And I thought overall it received positive reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, but one thing we're learning, no worries. One thing we're learning recently is a stuntman named Daniel Stevens. He was recently on the show Corridor Crew with Stuntman React, talking about dangerous stunts and kind of dissecting them. And he actually worked as Ryan Reynolds' stunt double for Free Guy, and he talks about an incident that actually led to a lot of pain, and it just reiterates the importance and how much they should be valued, like stunt women and stunt men. Their job's tough. And so he talks about this one instance where he was saying he was filming Free Guy. He says, I was flying flat and I was meant to hit face first into a pillar and then spin off it. And there's a dead man lying right on my back, which is meant as soon as I get there, that I'm supposed to spin me back kind of, in a safe way. But because I flew in, I ended up going more head first and then just scorpioned my back. So back bent backwards, and I heard a crack in my neck and my lower back. I'm on the mat going, oh, let me see if I can still move my toes. I'm like, yeah, I think I can, but that was not good. And he said, lastly, the funny thing was that it cuts from his practical hit then into a visual effect stunt on the ground. So the whole thing could have been a visual effect from the beginning, apparently, and would have saved him a lot of pain and suffering. The stunt actors, they do a lot of the work, but they may not always get the recognition. But I'm glad there are shows like this called Corridor Crew on YouTube that interview them and talk to them and pick their brains and talk to the experts behind these stunts. No, a lot of great stunts in that movie.
And if you're a stunt man who has worked in New England, give us a call. We want to talk to you. But it's just fascinating that he makes the point that this could have been special effects, that this could have been visual effects. And I know that there's a lot of talk right? About visual effects versus practical effects, and how practical effects look so much better than the visual effects, and at what, how do you balance that? And I admit myself to being, more pro practical effects, but, to what extent or at what point do you say, hey, this is just not worth the physical risk for what we're trying to do here? It reminds me of, there was a stuntman in the Harry Potter movies. Daniel Radcliffe had a stuntman who was doing was doing a stunt on a broomstick, and that actually left him paralyzed and grievously injured for the rest of his life. And the two of them now do a podcast together.
Oh, wow.
Where they talk about this kind of things, him and Daniel. So they've always maintained a great relationship, and you could see that he was appreciated for his work. But people are actually risking their lives, and I don't know how they feel about seeing themselves grievously injured, remaining in the movie for our enjoyment, and people not even noticing. So I just wanted to get kind of your thoughts on some of that. It's such a fine line, but a risk they assume, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. And I do think that they should be nominated for awards, like at the Oscars or the Golden Globes, for best stunts, and because they really do deserve that recognition. But it is a fine line where, technology is getting so much better, where, ragdoll physics and all these other things are being used practically as well. And there may be an argument down the road that, we shouldn't be risking the life or health of people for certain shots when we could just do it with a computer. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people believe there is like that Hollywood magic where there needs to be some sort of realism or danger in something to sell it. But yeah, this just leaves me just giving big kudos to every stunt performer out there, because they need to get more recognition. And if it takes an Oscar to solidify that, then, so be it.
That's right. And a lot of the things that we're so impressed by, when we watch these films, it's not Tom Holland, all the time. It's not, that actor all of the time. It's, these other incredible professionals that don't always get the credit that they deserve for bringing that entertainment into our homes. So here's for more safety, more protection for these people, and more recognition. And they have our gratitude here on the Hub on Hollywood.
Yeah, and speaking about bringing more entertainment into our homes, HBO Max, just among the multitude of streaming services out there. But unfortunately, HBO Max announcing a price increase immediately. So basically, the new price for the monthly ad-free subscription in the U.S. will rise from $15 to $16. And I've noticed that myself. I got an email a couple weeks ago saying that the changes would be coming from $14.99 to like $15.99. HBO Max says the increase allows them to continue to create culture-defining programming and improve the customer experience. Now, though I'm not happy with that as an excuse or happy with the price increase, I will say that whatever they are doing, they are doing it well, because they are creating some culture-defining programming, and they are improving the customer experience, clearly proven and clearly seen in the new show, The Last of Us, starring Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. It's based... Have you played the video game that this is based off of?
I believe I used to watch my uncle play it. I'm a chicken, James. I can't play scary games. I just get way too anxious, but I can watch other people do it.
Right.
So yes, I know of the game. I've seen the trailers and the reviews. People are very excited about this because they're not typical zombies, right?
No, these are like instead of most cases where there's a virus that gets out somewhere, it becomes a global pandemic, and then it starts changing people into zombies. Instead of viruses, this is using fungus or fungal spores that eventually mutate because of global warming, and they're able to. So apparently,
it's our
fault. I don't want to freak you out, but there actually is a fungus that does zombify ants, like a species of ants, and they're able to control this ant's body and multiple ants' body to basically do their bidding, spread themselves, and go to different places. It's an actual thing.
That is terrifying.
However,
Yeah.
that fungus does not affect humans. However, the premise of the video game and the premise of this show is that, warming conditions could make it possible in the future where fungus would be able to infect and have humans become their host of sorts. And that's basically what The Last of Us is. It follows the characters Joel and Ellie, a pair connected through the harshness of the world they live in and are forced to endure brutal circumstances and ruthless killers on a trek across post-pandemic America. And they have to, again, overtake and navigate this world overtaken by this fungal outbreak. So this actually starts off in a really good note because this starts off in a post-pandemic after like the initial opening takes place in Boston.
Ooh,
Everything
right.
always comes back to Boston, I think.
Of course, because we're the center of the universe.
We really are, obviously. So this show, I have never played the video games, but this does a very good job at introducing people who never have played, get in touch with the world, with what is causing the outbreak and the main characters and their life pre-pandemic. It looks like a movie. It does look really, really good. So maybe that's what my extra $1 to HBO Max subscription is going towards. But it's shot very well. It's very well acted by Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. The whole cast is really great.
Okay.
Camera work's phenomenal, especially when they follow characters in cars. There's a chase scene or like a trying to get away scene, and the tension just keeps building with the camera work and the pivoting from different directions and point of views. And I never played the game, as I said, but it feels like you are in a video game. And a lot of people are giving this show a lot of good kudos, saying that it is staying true to the feel of the video game, is staying true to the characters, and they're also pointing out a lot of fun Easter eggs in the first episode that just came out. But again, as I said, the action's very good. A lot of tension building scenes, a very gut wrenching scene in the beginning, beautifully acted, and as someone who knows nothing really about the story, only bits and pieces through pop culture, I'm really excited to enjoy this ride that this world's created so far.
I've got two observations here.
Yes.
Okay. The first is they are taking advantage of this incredibly successful recipe of pairing Pedro Pascal with an adorable little sidekick.
Yeah.
Okay, Pedro Pascal of Mandalorian fame. It worked with Baby Yoda. It's working with Bella Ramsey. And I'm just so happy to see Bella Ramsey again. She is just such a badass. If you've seen Game of Thrones, you remember she was little Lady Lyanna Mormont, who was just a queen. She was amazing. She was one of the strongest, best acted characters on Game of Thrones, and she was just the epitome of badassery and bravery. Like, God, I loved her character so much, and they gave her a great death too in Game of Thrones. Sorry, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, what's wrong with you? But she's just amazing. I can't wait to see her back on the screen. I can't wait to see her alongside Pedro Pascal. I think, the casting is there, and it sounds like they're doing the video game justice. So yes, winning recipe, HBO Max. But I also don't want to give them too much credit, James, at this point, because they're bumping up the prices while they're chopping down a lot of other projects. I think that they've said, I think it was HBO Max that said that they are getting rid of most of their shows, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
most
I think
of their
the Looney
series,
Tunes was a
they're
part
episodic.
of that. I think Batman, the animated series, like they're getting rid of Batman stuff. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's also what I've heard. I don't know if The Last of Us. I think I'm going to watch the entire series, but
watch it quick.
Yeah, watch it quick, and maybe cancel, because I admittedly do have too many subscription services. It is ridiculous. And the thing is, here's a little mini rant. When my wife and I want to watch something, like, okay, well, let's watch, for example, Beetlejuice, for example. I know it's streaming somewhere right now. I do know that. But for example, like, let's watch Beetlejuice. And then we look first, Netflix, not there. Amazon Prime, not there, but you have to rent. Hulu, it is there, but for a special subscription service, like an extra bonus subscription inside Hulu already. And I'm like, okay, so we end up like having seemingly like 5 or 6 streaming services where it's not available in the service, so we had to rent it somewhere for $4. And it's like every movie we want to watch, it's always like not available. Okay, that's my mini rant.
It's getting further and further away from like that access that you get at the beginning when, you know, something is new, and when the streaming services were new, when we had this new technology and everything was so much more easily accessible. And now that they've found ways to monetize that, it becomes further and further away. You know what I mean? And it becomes behind more and more paywalls, and it's frustrating. It's just like the early internet. All right, we're dating ourselves, but like in the early internet, you could access everything, no commercials, no paywalls. And now, like early YouTube, no commercials,
Those
no
were the
nothing.
days.
But now everything is behind an ad, and everything is sandwiched between ads, and now you have to pay for services. So, you know, it was just wonderful to experience all of these wonderful things in their infancy. But it's like, as it gets monetized, it's just as bad as having a cable subscription. So it's like, at what point do you have to start cutting back? At what point do you unsubscribe? You know what I mean? I feel like we're kind of approaching that limit for a lot of these subscription services, and it's frustrating. But you know what? Maybe something new will emerge in which we can now get it a little bit more freely again. So we'll see. Technology has a way. People have a way. Things keep evolving. So that's just my mini rant as well. My observation as an old person.
I know what will
Thank
end
you.
this: a fungal pandemic outbreak that
Let's
turns us
go.
all into zombies. That will be the end of these price increases.
The end of paywalls. Yeah,
but
Great.
So I will say, The Last of Us so far, so good, and I'm really excited to see the rest of the season. Let us know what you think about these price increases that are pounding our wallets, and any thoughts on Invitation to a Bonfire. Leave them in the comments down below at Hub on Hollywood. We're on all the social medias: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Hub on Hollywood. Hit like, subscribe, and if you're listening to us on any of the major podcasting streaming services, leave us a 5-star review. We really do appreciate it.
Other things that are satisfying
Yes.
that we are tackling in this show. This one is going to be a really fun discussion, guys. Okay, so get in on this. Get your thinking caps on. Most satisfying fates of movie villains.
Yeah.
Who got their comeuppance? Who was most satisfyingly killed at the end, or
justice dealt.
suffered justice dealt, or had, the consequences of their actions came around in the most satisfying way that you wish would happen in real life. Now, this was a discussion on Reddit, right?
Yeah, so this was first inspired by someone after seeing Glass Onion. They talked about the comeuppance dealt to the antagonist. That led them to this question of what are your most satisfying villain fates in films, and that got the discussion going. And I think an appropriate answer near the top was Knives Out, talking about in the final scene where Marta, standing above the whole rotten family as they're left with nothing, makes them smile every time. And Allie and I, we actually just did rewatch Knives Out. Again, I think just a perfect movie from beginning to end, and rewatching it for, I think, the 13th, maybe third time, honestly. But watching it again, it's solid all around, perfect performances, and you do love that everybody in the family is left without inheritance that they believe that they are owed. That's a very satisfying ending to a movie.
Yes, they all did. That entire spoiled and honestly, they didn't deserve anything family. So that was really, really nice. Also, Chris Evans in his bad boy sweater, also nice.
Great sweater.
Great sweater.
Can't say anything bad about that sweater.
But there were a few things that they mentioned here that I completely agree with. Also, the Duke brothers in Trading Places, a classic at the very end, at the end of the trading day, and they've lost everything, and the guy's yelling, "Turn the machines back on!" And here's my $1 bet that ruined your entire life. Like that was great. That was very good. But I have a couple of my own. And I was wondering, what's on your list, but topping my list, Gus Fring on Breaking Bad.
Ooh.
There were a lot of satisfying villain endings on that show. They were all so dramatic, and they fit like those people in a way that I really, really loved. But Gus Fring, I think, had the best death by far. confronting his rival, and his rival hitting the bell, ding, 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 the hidden bomb exploding, and then he's got half his face blown off, but he still like walks out of the room with that dignity that he always held, and like fixes his collar or whatever, and then collapses dead on the floor with half his face. Like it was such great television.
So
it was
good.
such great filmmaking. God, that felt really good.
Yeah.
I have a few other ones, but what else? What's on your list?
No, I was going to say my jaw was dropped. No pun intended related to that scene, but my jaw was dropped looking at that.
Awesome.
It was such a good ending to that character.
Yes.
Another great ending to a character, and someone had mentioned this in the comments, and I wholeheartedly agree. Benny from The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser. So basically, Benny is a character who is friends with Brendan Fraser's character, Rick O'Connell. And basically, at any moment, Benny is willing to like ditch Rick just to save his own life and to get out of trouble multiple times throughout the movie. But at the very end, Brendan Fraser's character, he does his best to save his buddy who keeps backstabbing him. He totally gets his comeuppance by being left in this pyramid of sorts where he has an endless supply of treasure of gold and jewelry, but obviously he's trapped, he can't use it, and then he's ultimately eaten by the flesh-eating scarabs. One of the best comeuppance, and you take that, Benny, moments in any film, so that's up there.
Yeah. If you're going to put any bloopers too, we need your thirst look instead of first look. I think that could be a great segment when we look at movies, and it's the thirst look versus anything.
I like that.
Anything else. That'll be for a different day.
Yeah.
But okay, also on my list, let's see. Moving right along, a lot of great comeuppances on Game of Thrones. Okay, the best of which I think were in the later seasons. Ramsay Bolton, my man, that evil mother flipper. Okay, the way that he dies, eaten by his own dogs and brought to his knees by Sansa, who he tortured and did all those horrible things to, brought to his knees by her, and getting his fate and his, that horrible, vicious death that he bestowed on many other people. God, that guy got what was coming to him, and it felt so good. Like my husband and I, we were cheering, we were woo, woo, woo. Like that was one of the best deaths on Game of Thrones. A very close second, also equally satisfying, Littlefinger. Okay, because he was outsmarted by everyone. Sansa learned so much from him that she was able to outsmart Littlefinger, who has, manipulated almost everything in this show from day one. And he was also brought to his knees and got his comeuppance. And everything that karma was building up for him, thanks to the sisters, Sansa and Arya. So really Sansa at the center of the two most satisfying deaths, villain comeuppances on Game of Thrones for me, by far. Woo! Such good television.
Makes me want to watch Game of Thrones again, but not finish the entire series because of that terrible ending. But also,
God,
I think an equally as brutal death and satisfying for the audience is the death of the Manson clan in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where have you seen that movie with Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, directed by Quentin Tarantino?
I have not had the pleasure, but I hear good things.
Yeah, so this one has a very end. It's loosely based off the Sharon Tate murders in Hollywood, and just at the very end, not to give much away, but this is basically a spoiler. But instead of the real life ending where Sharon Tate and her friends family are killed, Quentin Tarantino takes a spin on this, changes their fates, and basically Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio end up killing the clan members after they go to their house instead. And the execution, no pun intended, in this sequence of comeuppance is beautiful just for the fact of knowing the real life events and whatnot. And so that was a great comeuppance for the villains. And speaking of and talented people, Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, also Austin Butler, aka Elvis, is also in this film, and he is also involved in this this final scene. That's a great one. Now, one that's not so bloody or so violent is another one that made my list from Toy Story 3, when Lotso Bear tied to the front of a dump truck, meant to live out the rest of his weird existence in life in a world of trash, basically, after backstabbing Woody and the rest of his friends. And so that was a good comeuppance.
Yeah. And it's so funny that you mentioned that, because my kids have been watching that like for the past week. We have like the original DVD from when it came out, and they've been watching it down in the basement. Lotso Bear. First of all, that movie, Toy Story 3, is very dark. Like they were all like in the incinerator, and they're all holding hands and accepting their imminent demise and heading towards, that like they're all going to die because Lotso Bear, backstabbed them after they saved him, and then he backstabbed them, and then they're going to die, and they're saved by the claw. But yeah, Lotso Bear getting what he deserved. But that Toy Story 3, way darker than it needed to be. Yeah. Woo!
No, that's a good one. That's a good one. What else is on your list?
And finally on my list, and maybe this doesn't belong there because it's more of the book version that I love than the movie version, but The Ultimate Defeat of Voldemort. At the end of the Harry Potter series, I think that the movie version of it really doesn't do it justice, but when you read the book, and it's Harry and Voldemort, and they're circling each other in the courtyard, and the entirety of the school, everyone that is still alive, is around them, and they've stopped fighting, and the bad guys and the good guys, they're all just stopped and entranced by the villain and the hero circling each other and having their final monologue right against each other, and then when the wands connect and the explosion and the aftermath, like I just feel like it's all so incredibly well done and satisfying in the book. And then there's all of the death, and there's all of the consequences and everything that happens after, and it feels so real. And I feel like it just wasn't as epic. It wasn't as epic. It wasn't as and maybe because there's no movie that can match your own imagination and your own feeling in that moment from when you read it the first time. Nerd. I know I'm going on a nerd rant here, but that's my last one, is the ultimate fate of Voldemort, and how his soul is finally broken, and all of those pieces are finally gone from the world and vanquished. And how, I'm sorry, I'm going to continue this rant, and how the last Horcrux was in Harry inadvertently, and Harry sacrifices himself, but it was actually Voldemort in killing people, in trying to kill Harry, that he actually killed himself in the final Horcrux that he never meant to make. Like, it's just the whole story. I love it so much. I'm sorry. Do I like it? Maybe a little bit. So that's the last one on my list that was satisfying for me, the book version of The End of Voldemort. Thank you very much for coming to my TED Talk.
My final one that I'll add on, no, but that is a very good one, even though it's not exactly from the book. I think that counts. Will the judges allow it? Yes, the judges gave the thumbs up. That's good.
Okay, great. Is the judge your cat? Is that JB?
Yeah, JB is she's giving all 4 paws up. And so my last one, and I recently watched this just a couple days ago, John Wick, the first one, when the character who kills John Wick's dog and steals his car finally gets his comeuppance at the very end, and his death is treated so like as if it's not a big deal to John Wick. John Wick just had to mow down 100 people to get to this person, and then when he does kill them, it's just a simple boom boom, not even letting them finish the last sentence, their last thought, their last breath. But that's my last one.
Yeah.
Let us know what your favorite fates of movie villains is. Is it from Shawshank Redemption. Somebody did bring that up. Somebody brought up Raiders of the Lost Ark. All the Nazis died.
Yeah.
Hans Gruber falling
That's
to
a
his
good one.
death in Die Hard. Also, someone pointed out Gladiator has some pretty good FU moments. So let us know what your favorite FU moments are for the worst movie villains. Let us know at Hub on Hollywood.
And we'll give you a shout out here on the next Hub on Hollywood. And I did just want to end with this caveat, James, that while I appreciate a really good villain comeuppance, I think what I really love more is a complex villain who doesn't think he's a villain, who has, a transformation or a redemption arc. Oh, that does it for me every single day, like way more than the karmatic end of someone who's just evil for the sake of being evil. Like, give me someone complex and realistic who, has a whole satisfying arc and journey and transformation. Yeah. That's where it's at.
Awesome. Well, let us know what
Jamie.
you guys think. Let us know what you guys think. And as Jamie said, we will give you a shout out in the next episode of the Hub on Hollywood. Be sure to stick around after the credits because we have casting calls for some of our local talents for films, TV shows, commercials, everything and everywhere in between. But for the Hub on Hollywood, I'm James.
I'm Jamie. See you next time.
Bye.
All right, guys, this is the part of the Hub on Hollywood where we get you in the movies, in the TV show, and sometimes in commercials. So today we are starting with slate casting. And remember, they're not only looking for actors who are experienced, and sometimes they're looking for anybody, anywhere, any size, any constellation. So
And that could be you.
Let's take a listen. That could be you, or you, or you. So starting with slate casting, they are looking for very tall men for stand-in work on a super fun commercial. It's so described. So a stand-in is someone who stands in for the actor or performer, it's so that the cameras can, set up the shot, set up the lighting, and all the crew, they love you. They're looking for Caucasian men, 6'7" to 6'9". So yeah, very tall men for stand-in work on a commercial. Maybe it's a basketball player. You get to meet a basketball player. This shoots at towards the end of January in the Boston area. You must be available January 24th, and also either the 19th or 20th. You must be local to New England, and it's a decent day's pay. So if you are interested, you are tall, you are available, please email your name and contact information, current full-length photo and height, what city and town you live in, and your full availability for those dates, 119, 120, and 124, to slatecasting.sagaftrasubmit@gmail.com. So that's slatecasting.sagaftrasubmit@gmail.com.
All right, Boston Casting looking for people with authentic Irish accents. I will not try to have an Irish accent right here, but if you have one for a commercial project, then this job is for you. They're looking for somebody 25 to 55 years old for this non-union gig, pays $400 and shoots on the 26th of January. So if you have an Irish accent, an authentic Irish accent, and you are between 25 and 55, send your contact information, your acting experience, if you have any, where you are located, and in the subject line, put Irish accent / your name. You're going to send all that to bostoncastingcommercial@gmail.com, bostoncastingcommercial@gmail.com.
Okay, and I've got one that's a little bit outside of New England, but Slate Casting also doing an open casting call in the DMV. That's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. They are looking for anyone and everyone, all ethnicities, men and women, ages 2 to 100, families, couples, friend groups, you can all come together. It's an open casting call, Saturday, January 21st. So if you are in the DMV or if you know anyone there, pass this along to them. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the DoubleTree by Hilton in Laurel, Maryland. They have this open casting call, looking for people for several of their upcoming commercials and video projects in the area. It's a really fun experience, no acting necessary. Just come by and say hello. They take your picture, they take your contact information, and if you match something that they're looking for, they will give you a call and check your availability. So always love a good open casting call. So that one is in the DMV, January 21st, DoubleTree by Hilton in Laurel. Tell your friends and family in the DC area.
Excellent. CP Casting looking for live performers for the Boston Symphony Orchestra. They're casting men and women 18 years old and older who are actors/singers for live performance of the symphonic version of Ragtime the Musical. This is scheduled for rehearsal and performance May 3rd through the 13th in Boston and July 6th through the 8th in Lenox. This is a paid gig, so auditions, including singing and acting, will be self-tape submissions with in-person callback auditions on February 18th and 19th in Boston. So if you are an actor-singer and you meet those requirements, send your full name, phone number, where you currently live right now, headshot, recent photo, acting, signing resume, or singing resume, and any other related musical performance experiences. Send that to cpcastingsubmission2023@gmail.com, cpcastingsubmission2023@gmail.com.
Perfect. And as we mentioned, unfortunately, Invitation to a Bonfire, which had been casting and filming up until recently, has been canned by AMC. So production on that one has stopped. But more projects will be coming to the DMC. More projects will be coming to New England. Especially now that spring is around the corner. So stay with the Hub on Hollywood. We will bring you more of those casting calls and try to get you in the movies. But until then, continue to join us. Thank you so much for listening. This has been fun. I am Jamie.
I'm James.
We'll see you next time.